Quiet on the set.
AC.
Quiet.
No, sound like the screen door on Friday and shit. Damn, Smokey. Excuse me, stagehand.
Anybody else's lips smell funny?
I'm good at doing dumb
and I'm breathing like a fat kid.
Man, I just got stage fright.
The Grog Bowl follows 3 Army veterans on a trail of self-discovery and hopefully progress as they talk about life before, during, and after service. These 3 service members have varied jobs, time in service, and experience after service, but one thing remains constant. You are never the same, for better or worse, after any amount of service.
Today's episode of the Grog Bowl podcast is brought to you by 1776 Tactical Corporation, the Veterans Mobile Sawmill, and CLT Media Group. If you like what you hear, take a moment to subscribe to the podcast so you know exactly when we publish our next episode. And don't forget, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Next episode coming at you right now.
Hold on. Do we need a refill?
We live.
No, now we're live. Now you gotta say
you know
it.
what?
Now you gotta say, no, you can't say live because we're not live.
We are live.
We are live.
We're recording, but we're not live.
We're live right now.
You just
we're
yelled
live.
at him for saying
No,
You're live in a moment. When
We
are
live.
you live? You're
We
never
live.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to the Grog Bowl.
The Grog Bowl. We in here.
So what are we about to do? We're about to do some alcohol?
So we're about to
We talking about alcohol. Matter of fact,
alcohol.
y'all hold it down. I'm gonna walk over here to the fridge.
We need an alcohol check. What we got tonight?
Y'all hold it down. I'm gonna walk over here to the fridge. I gotta get me a beer.
Hold on. We got Blue Moon on the set. We got 17.
Blue Moon.
What is it? 17 what?
1792.
1792 on the set. And everybody got, you got some Angry Orchard over there. I see.
Is that what she's getting? He's getting some Angry Orchard.
Angry Orchard.
Mama calls it apple juice.
So for all of our fan base out there, alcohol check. 3, 2, 1, go.
What?
They need
Oh,
a
now it's
comment
time to start
section.
talking?
No, they need to chime in on the comment section.
Oh, talk on the
On-
comment
on
section.
what they're drinking
so they can
tonight.
either
Alcohol
they can
check.
email us at thegrogb@gmail.com.
.com.
There's a link in the descriptions, hopefully by now, to a Google form where you can fill out information and send it to us if
Mike,
you'd rather do it that way.
Facebook message,
I'm
Instagram
sorry to
message.
inform you that link is not available just yet.
Oh, you slacking over there?
Well, not entirely, but we'll get it. We'll get it.
Okay, it's not up yet, but eventually it'll be up. And it's got some things in it.
But hey, you can still leave a review on the Apple Podcast and Spotify, I believe.
Spotify.
So we're talking about alcohol today.
Yeah.
Alcohol.
So today's topic is alcohol. Somebody stole my bottle opener.
Damn.
Oh, it's over there where you were eating.
Oh,
Can you hit
damn.
that line? Blame it on the
Blame it on the
alcohol.
I know, man.
Is that how it goes?
Shout out T-Pain. Man.
Watch your headphones.
I got this, man.
We got this.
I think I was in Korea when that song came out.
Damn, where was I at?
I don't know.
What year was that?
That was.
You might have to Google that.
I'm gonna Google that right now.
I did a couple tours in Korea. It's from 05 to 2010. I went there a couple times, so I don't know when
Blame
the
It.
song counts.
Oh, it says
Yeah.
"Blame It" by Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, Jamie
And
Foxx,
T-Pain.
T-Pain.
Yeah.
And what year was that? 2008.
Okay.
Damn, 2008. So I was
Somewhere, yeah.
I was in Fort Stewart, but leaving to go to Shepherd Air Force Base, Texas, where I would assume the role of an instructor teaching young knucklehead-ass soldiers how to become a biomed.
You just turned this into like an intense auto commercial.
Hey, man. So I'm on the 1792, and I'm chasing it with apple juice, a.k.a. Angry Orchard. My mama call it apple juice, though.
I'm chasing it with that Belgian white, that Blue Moon.
See, my mom is German, so, you know, beer is big in Germany.
Yeah.
So that's why she's like,
She doesn't like the
she's
cider.
like, what the fuck are you doing with that apple juice in the refrigerator?
Sorry,
Anybody
Grandma.
make it to Germany here?
No.
I
never
had
made it to-
orders to Hawaii or Germany, and of course, the wife chose Hawaii. But I could have been drunk in Germany for 3 years.
Dang.
Just didn't make it there.
Yeah.
Well,
Speaking of alcohol, that could have been. You could have been drinking them boots. Is that what they do in Germany? I don't know. I've never been to Germany.
Das Boot.
I've had some German food. What's the
That's
pork
what we
chop?
should do. We should
a
do
German night?
a podcast in Germany.
I'm down. We can
Let's
do that.
travel to Germany and just do a podcast.
Just go all the way there to do a podcast.
I mean, of course, we're gonna partake in the local festivities.
Schnitzels. Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, they have schnitzel.
Schnitzels.
Yeah, I can't eat that.
There was a German restaurant outside of Fort Stewart
vegan
in downtown Hinesville.
Hinesville.
There was a German restaurant down there.
Hinesville
And
smells like a
That's
paper
where I'd
mill.
go get the schnitzels. And I tell you, I'd had the boot of beer,
Yeah.
whatever was in it, I don't remember at the time. I'd come out of there full and drunk as fuck. But good times.
Sorry, Grandma.
Yeah.
Sorry, Grandma.
All right, so I want to tell my story. I've got a story about alcohol.
We're here for you.
It's a little bit long,
We're here for you. Hey,
but
Mike's got the mic. Let's
it
get
started. I looked it up before. I looked at my pictures because right after this started, right after the story started, it was 2 years ago. September 2 years ago. September 2021. 2 years ago,
Where are we at?
I was in Kentucky.
Okay.
damn, Fort Knox.
Fort
Knox.
Knox.
Protecting the
that
gold.
Protecting the gold. Back on that again. Anyway, so 2 years ago, I've been battling alcohol for a long time. And for the last 2 years, I've been seriously battling it. Before that, it was just kind of a hit and miss type thing, right? You drink, you get yelled at, you move on. You drink, you get yelled at, you move on, right? That's been the rotation for 20 years.
Yelled at by who?
Mostly my wife.
Okay.
And most of and she's gonna, I'm sorry. Like, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not hating on you. It just took me a really long time to realize what you were trying to do. But the nagging and the picking and the looking and all of that was because she could see something I couldn't see. So 2 years ago, I went to they have different names every couple of years, but it's the mandatory training days, right? It's the safety stand down day. It's the under the oak tree day. It's the whatever the heck they're calling it now in the military. Everybody gets together. They do classes. They do all the mandatory trainings. They talk about all the things, right?
Yeah.
There's one class, Walter. Well, we're going to call him Walter because his name's Walter. I'm not going to say his last name, but he was in the Army with me. Walter, you changed my life.
Thank you, Walter.
Thank you, Walter.
Hey, little Walter.
No, not like that. But so he had to teach this class, right? He was teaching the class on alcohol, and the class on alcohol are all the same, right? You know, this is how much a drink of beer is, this is how much a drink of wine is, this is how long it takes to get sober after you have alcohol. It depends on your body weight. All the class is always the same every single time. Once it was done, though, he got up and, well, he was already up, but he got up in front of our battalion, which, mind you, our battalion was 60 people. So smaller than a big company, or smaller than a small company, it was our whole battalion. But he gets up in front of the whole battalion, Colonel Sergeant Major, all his coworkers, everybody was up there. And he starts telling a story about how he quit. He gave up alcohol. He was 2 months, 2 or so months without alcohol at that time. And he had kept it from everybody except for his close team, about 5 or 6 people, because it's a personal thing. And he told his whole story about how he would stop on the way home, pick up a small bottle to hide in the truck and drink a little bit of that on the way home. And then he'd get home and he'd drink out of the big bottle that was at the house, and then so on and so forth. And I started to relate a little bit to what he was saying at the time. And then after he was done, another person got up, a female master sergeant at the time got up, and she started telling her story about alcohol, how she was giving up drinking because she noticed how quickly she became I don't want to say, not a bad parent, but how quickly her parenting turned after she started drinking. One glass of wine in, she noticed her response to a question was completely different than if she had not been drinking from her young children. And I started relating to that a little bit. And out of the blue, I stood up and I went to the podium, and to break the tension, I stood up and I said, "Hi, my name's Mike, and I'm not sure if I'm an alcoholic." And everybody laughed, obviously, because it was funny and that was the intended purpose. But on the serious note, hearing all these stories made me start questioning things. At the time, I had a beer fridge in the garage because nobody likes to have beer taking up all the space in the house. So I would go out to the garage and I would get a beer. And while I was in the garage, I would crack a beer and chug it, throw it away in the garage, and then grab a beer and open it and walk in the house. And I would then drink that beer in the house, right? And then it would be time for a new beer, so I'd go out to the garage. I'd crack a beer and I'd chug it, throw it away in the garage, grab a new beer, go into the house. Right? So that was going on. Then there was also times where, I would be asked, how much did you have to drink tonight? Well, I only had one drink. Yes, truthfully, I only had one drink. But a 20-ounce Yeti tumbler full of bourbon doesn't technically qualify as one drink. I mean, it's one container. I only filled it up one time. But quite literally, that's like 10 drinks. I'm telling this story to the battalion. We had gone, part of our job was we would travel around and we would help train and certify National Guard and Reserve soldiers. And we would go to these places. I can't remember where we were. The last night we were there, or the night before we were getting ready to leave, everybody, asked, can we have some alcohol to, celebrate and whatever. We had a little barbecue and we got some alcohol and we were drinking out there. And then we went back to the barracks after we were done and we were, drinking back at the barracks again. And I got so drunk that I started bawling on the shoulder of this little, I can't remember, I think he was in E6 and he was like 25 years old. And he was sitting right in front of me and I was staring at him and I was like, said, when I drink, I go all out. Like there's no in between. There's no a little bit of drinking, right? Once I start drinking, it just goes. And I go to the end. And I looked at him, he just started nodding because I was acting like a complete idiot to this kid who I barely knew, literally crying on his shoulder because he said something that made me think about my kids, right? Anyway, I've rehearsed this story so many times and it is going nothing like I planned. The long and the short of it is I got up in front of the battalion and I told them all of this stuff. And I told them I wasn't sure if I was an alcoholic because alcoholics have a stigma. When you think of an alcoholic, you think of Otis from Andy Griffith. Comes stumbling in drunk every night, locks himself in the thing, can't talk, can't walk, can't do anything. That's an alcoholic. Yeah. You think of an alcoholic as a person who is driving drunk and swerving all over the road and stopping at the bar, every day on the way home and getting drunk and they can't drive home. That's an alcoholic. Alcoholic's a father that comes home at night, pissed drunk and yelling and screaming and kicking people and hitting people. That's an alcoholic. Yeah. So to me, I wasn't an alcoholic because that's what an alcoholic was. But after hearing these two people tell their stories, I started to realize alcoholism is a slide rule. You have the very end of like the people I just described, and you have the other end of the spectrum of people who barely drink, right? And then everywhere in between there, right, you have different levels of alcoholism. So for me to realize that it was a slide rule and I was towards the edge of Otis-isms, it was an eye-opener. And in that discussion in front of the battalion, I realized the problem I have with alcohol is portion control. Mm-hmm. I can physically have a beer or two. It's possible. It's really easy. It's much easier to do if I'm at a restaurant or if I'm at someone's house or I have to walk away. Like if I'm at my house and I start drinking, it was just, once you start, you just go until it's time to go to bed. And that's the way I always dealt with it. Portion control was my biggest problem. And realizing that that was the issue made me start thinking about how I drank. So anyway, after this class, I I stopped drinking for a little while, which I would do from time to time anyways. I'd get in a fight with my wife because she'd be upset because I was drinking too much, and rightfully so, because I definitely was drinking too much. But I would take a week or two off or whatever. But it just so happens that I didn't tell her because I didn't know what I was doing yet. I just stopped drinking. And I didn't say, I'm done drinking. I didn't say anything like that. I just started consciously thinking about drinking, and I decided for a little while I was going to take a little bit of a break. Well, she didn't know because I didn't tell her, because if I told her, whatever I told her became gospel. If I say I'm only going to have one beer, she will only let me have one beer because she knows that's what I wanted to do, and she will keep me honest, and she will keep me to that. Or if I say I'm only going to drink on the weekend, she will make sure that I only drink on the weekend. But I didn't know what I wanted to do yet, so I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Well, I come home, and a couple days later, to be nice, I have some nice bourbons on the counter. She pours a bourbon, puts it in the freezer. When I get home, she opens the freezer, puts it out, and she's like, I got you a bourbon, an ice cold bourbon. I'm like, yay, thank you. So I took a couple sips of it, and I drank this one bourbon over the course of like 4 hours because I was like, you know what? I didn't say I'm not drinking. I just said I needed to pay attention. So I drank my bourbon over 4 hours, or whatever the case may be. A little while later, a week or two later, we go on this marriage retreat, and we go down to the Great Wolf Lodge, and we're, doing all these things. And there's a little store restaurant thing in there, and they've got this beer fridge along the back wall with all these, IPAs and stuff like that. And she's like, pick out a beer. I'm like, damn, I still haven't told her what's going on yet. So I'm fine. So I grabbed this whatever beer I could find. I picked it out. She's like, you just want one? I'm like, yeah, I just want one. So I grabbed one, take it out of the room, and have my beer. Anyway, so she didn't, unknowingly, she was, getting me to drink again, which was fine because I was thinking about it. And for a while, I would just keep thinking about it. Like, I'd go to get a beer. I'm like, okay, I can have a couple beers. It's Friday night. We're just barbecuing, whatever. And I'd have a couple beers and I'd be done. And that went on for a couple weeks or a month or two or whatever the case may be. And then finally, I just got tired of it. And I just stopped thinking about it. And I just started drinking again. And right back to the same thing. No portion control whatsoever. Just go at it. Go at it. Get in a fight. Crap. Okay, fine. So I reset, go back down, start the whole process all over again. Not drinking very much, drinking little, drinking way too much. Get in another fight. Crap. Start over again. This has been going on for 2 years, right? That discussion I just found out was 2 years ago. And I'll go through phases, right? On and off and on and off and on and off. And unfortunately, the other night, we had another disagreement about alcohol. And I have been doing fairly well. I've only been having a couple beers when I have a couple beers, or I'll have one mixed drink or whatever when I have a drink. And I thought I was doing good. But the problem is I apologize. I'm probably going a little too deep into this. She got upset because I was drinking a couple nights in a row. I thought it was okay because I only had a couple of drinks those couple nights in a row. I got mad at her because she said something, but I was negating her feelings. She has feelings about alcohol that stem from other things that we're not going to talk about. But I haven't been bringing it up with her very much because I don't know what my rules are, right? But after the fight, I realized, and I haven't told her this yet, I might have to tell her before she hears this, part of the reason I got so mad was I was already noticing myself falling back off of the semi-unwritten rules that I have, right? I try to keep myself to a minimum. I try to keep everything paced. I try to think about it every time I drink just to make sure that I don't drink too much. And so in this argument, I was like, you know what? It's not worth it. I'm just not going to drink anymore. And she was like, she didn't want me to stop drinking just because she said something. But it's not because she said something. It's because I realized, bad things were happening. Now, I haven't drank since then, but it's only been 5 days. But I don't know that
how is that affecting you though? Like to have that freedom to have a drink and then have that almost feel like you're being stripped of that ability to have a drink whenever you want to drink.
So that was part of the problem why I got so mad during our argument. I didn't want to be told how I could or couldn't drink.
Right. Because you're a grown-ass man.
And it made me angry. But
yeah,
it also made me think, why am I getting angry because somebody's saying you're drinking too much?
Yeah.
Am I drinking too much? Maybe not at the time, but it was going to end up being that way.
So let me just chime in here because I can relate to your story, but being on the opposite end. So in this scenario, I'm in Sherry's shoes.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, you got to have accountability for your behavior.
Yeah.
The same way you come at me about the things that have affected our marriage, you got to have accountability.
So, but and this is that part of the reason it was so upsetting to me is because I get a little more chatty when I drink.
Yeah.
I get a little more emotional when I drink.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get a little more defensive. But I don't start dancing. I don't start running around the streets. I don't start, I don't get all wild and crazy.
Man, I act the ass when I drink.
I do talk a lot. I do talk a lot more though.
I've seen you at a couple parties.
But
I'm on this 1792.
So I'm on the Mike side of this because I will literally what he's explaining is everything I go through on a daily basis. Like the alcohol has a grip on me, and even with my brother, when we drink consecutively, and soon as the spouse or significant other says, "Hey, you're drinking too much," or "You need to limit yourself," I instantly go into defensive mode, and you're not going to tell me how and when I'm going to drink, and it escalates the thing.
Yeah. Yo,
I don't understand. Yeah,
that is crazy because so let me tell y'all. You guys remember when you were having the was it the fourth? What I don't know. You guys were having a party, and remember you called me and I was like, my wife.
Oh, it was his birthday party.
Yeah, so my wife was.
Oh, that's right. You didn't show up to that.
My wife was at an event, and they were having shots of tequila or whatever, and so I got a phone call like, "Hey, your wife's been drinking, and like you might need to pick her up." And so I'm like, "Oh man." So I get there and like we instantly get into an argument. So it's like everything you all are talking about, like I experienced the same shit because I think that's just a common thing with the whole alcohol thing. Like honestly, I can just say like there's not really a whole lot of there's not a whole lot of benefit that comes from like just alcohol. And I'm just being honest. Like besides the three of us sitting here having 1792 and doing this podcast, there's not a lot of great things that come out of people having alcohol.
So, and that was part of the reason I was bringing it up is because I've been struggling with it for a long time. In the rush, I was like, I'm not going to drink anymore. And I haven't yet. That 1792 you poured's been sitting there. I haven't had any of it.
Shit, I had some.
I was trying to decide if I was going to have it or not.
The question is, why do we feel we need the alcohol?
See, and that's the answer I don't have.
When I get off work, stressful as hell during the day, where I'm running businesses, the baseball team, the kids, what have you. I get the dinner's done. I want to sit down, watch TV for 20, 30 minutes, and I want to have my whiskey in peace and silence and get to the point where I don't get drunk, but I get that feeling and buzz and I'm relaxed. But why do I feel that I need it every night?
But like, you know what's crazy?
Is it because
alcohol actually prevents
it's a
you
downer?
It prevents you from even having a good night's rest.
Yes,
Medically proven.
correct.
So
Ever since I've been 5 or 6 years old, alcohol has been in my life.
You've been drinking since you were
No,
5.
not me personally, but I've seen it from my dad, my mom, all the way through my life. Now experiencing in the military,
Wait. So you had bourbon in the sippy cup?
probably.
on what he was saying about it messes with your sleep, I did notice in this past 2 years, when I cut back, when I don't drink, it'll be a lot of times what I've been doing is not drinking until Friday, Saturday night, and then I try to limit what I have then. But I notice I sleep better when I don't drink. I have IBS. It subsides tremendously when I don't drink. I get better sleep. I feel better. I have more energy. Like all the reasons people say like alcohol is bad, I have literally gone through all those and noticed that I don't necessarily have to take as much of the sleeping aids.
Right.
Like all of those things are true.
I'm gonna tell you, this podcast is existing because I'm able to sit here to drink and relax and loosen up. If not, I'm gonna be boring as fuck.
Well,
Mike, on this podcast,
You can be. I haven't had a drop.
Mike, are you an alcoholic?
I think I actually might be.
So, you know that cliche, the first thing you have to do is admit that you have a problem.
Yeah. I did that 2 years ago. I just didn't know how to fix it.
Okay. So, are you willing to go to therapy?
So I actually did. I had the VA counselor, the regular mental health therapist talk to me, and they referred me to an alcohol counselor. And I did 3 or 4 telephone conferences with them where I talked about things and whatnot. And they're like, do you want to go to a group session? So I was like, I don't want to go to group sessions. And she's like, well, until you want to go to group sessions, I can't help you anymore. So I don't know that I need to go to a group session anymore, but I told this very similar story to this therapist, and we talked for, on 4 separate occasions for an hour at a time, about all these things. What I was wanting her to tell me was, you're an alcoholic, but she never would say that. And I think it's because of what you just said. You have to discover it for yourself. I wanted her to tell me I had a problem, and she never would. She would just ask more questions, and she would ask more questions.
The first step to recovery is admitting that you have a problem.
So, me personally, I'm going to admit I'm an alcoholic.
Okay.
I like alcohol. I like drinking. I like relaxing and drinking. I'm 70% PTSD with an alcoholic problem, according to the VA. It's in the records. I've been to the classes, been to the psych. I was seeing them once a week, but I know I have a problem, and even my wife will tell you I like to drink. But back to him telling you, hey, he's going through the garage, chugging a beer before he goes in. That was me, still me, trying to hide the whiskey from her. Oh, I'm going to get 1 glass, but in between, I'm taking 3 or 4 shots, and it's like hiding it, and I come back with a small glass. Like, it has a grip on me. I can admit it, but I can't let it go for whatever reason.
So that's how I started out 2 years ago, when I was the worst I'd been was 2 years ago. And
so let me just say this to both of y'all. You both are taking the first steps.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
So, and to be fair with you, admitting you have a problem and not wanting to change is still changing, because in these last 2 years, every single time I reach for a beer or I grab a bottle or whatever it is I grab, I think about it. I think about how much I've had, how I feel, what it's doing to me. Every single time.
So
now you're going to do that, at least for a while. You're going to think about it for a while.
Oh, I do all the time because I'm hiding it from my wife, and she already knows it. But when you're sneaking around, and it's only every other day here, I got to dump all this out. She's dumped it out before, and it's a big thing. It's not like I'm a straight drunk. That I don't get drunk. I just have to. It takes the edge off for the daily stressful events or the weekly stressful events. Like you said, I don't get wild. I don't get crazy. Some nights I get more of a in my feelers and brings back the military days and all the crazy shit we went through. And
Yeah.
I don't get insane with it.
I
don't get aggressive. I don't get chaotic, but there's a problem, and I will tell you it with my IBS, and I've been in the ER since I've been out of the military 5 times because it's the whiskey over all these years has eaten my stomach alive. And I remember when we went to Kentucky, we came up for that the party we went to. I think we were drinking moonshine. I went to a distillery on the way up and brought a bunch of alcohol, and I was almost to the point where I was damaging my liver. I was sick driving back, literally sick. So we had just went on a vacation camping, and it was a binger. A couple of friends we went to, like, I felt like I reached liver failure. 2 days of drinking, and I was done.
Dude, a giant ass cockroach.
Lord, look at the roach.
Yeah.
But it's physically taking a toll on me.
Fucking
and
water bugs.
when I don't drink for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, I'm sleeping good. My health is good. I'm looking good, feeling better. But it always circles back around. The stress starts happening. I gotta have that glass of whiskey, that beer, 2 or 3 a night, and I can never beat the cycle ever.
Well, you haven't beaten the cycle yet.
What about this, man? What if?
And we're telling all of our listeners this because this is the problems we're having, and I'm hoping somebody can.
Honestly, I don't struggle with alcohol, but I have had my struggles with my own addictive behaviors.
Right.
And I'm in therapy now to deal with those addictive behaviors. And at the end of the day, it's about accountability. Everything boils down to accountability. So I say that to say this. I would be more than happy to be an accountability partner for both of you. We can be that for each other.
Yeah.
So before you pick up that bottle, you pick up the phone and make a call.
How do you stop that when you like to drink?
It's so I had the same struggle when I quit smoking. I quit smoking about 70 times, right?
Right.
I wish my mom would quit smoking.
And I would do the same thing. I would cut out smoking, right? And then I would be good. Then I'd have one at a party or have one, and then I'd come back into it, and I'd go all the way back up to a pack a day, right? Pack a day, and 2 packs a day when we're in the field, and we were in the field a lot.
2-pack.
That's a big problem with alcohol. Like, I can say I'm stopping right now. Same with fitness and like the gym. But with my lifestyle, how I live it, we're going out with friends. We're going to this event, going to that event. The social norm is to have a drink.
Have a drink.
Have with your friends, you're socializing, and it's hard to not be in that environment and not do it. It's almost to be able to beat these addictions, these problems, is to be a recluse, stay away from everybody. That's how I got to look at it, especially with the gym and food. Like trying to diet when we go out on the weekends or whatever. I can't just order a healthy meal. We're out there. Like, to be able to do that, I have to just. It's so hard.
It's a mind thing.
It's hard.
You got to be very disciplined.
It's hard, but it's possible because
discipline.
Even that party that we were talking about, your birthday party.
Right.
I was in the middle of one of those cycles where I was doing really well, and I brought my little cases of beer, and I had like 4 or 5 beers, and I was there for like 6 hours.
You was getting lit.
Oh, I was fucking lit, son.
6 hours, 5 beers for me, like that's impressive, right?
Yo,
that's
honestly,
impressively low.
Honestly, I'm kind of lit right now with the
I know you are.
1792.
I know you are, but what am I?
Bro, you got to pump up them numbers. I'm still not even.
Nah, I feel great. Like, so, but see, that's the thing. Like, I got a bottle of Apple Crown that's been in my freezer for months.
Nah,
I haven't touched it.
Nah, if it's open at my house, it's gone.
I have a bottle of peach. I think it's apple cobbler moonshine in the freezer. It's been there for almost 6 months.
Yeah, so what I noticed about you was when we started doing all this stuff, you will drink, and you are fairly good at moderating, and then you're good at not drinking too.
But I don't want to create this misperception because, again, I have struggled with addictive behaviors.
Yeah.
It's just not in the realm of alcohol.
See, and that's my
other things.
So I have that same problem. I will get addicted to just about anything. I quit smoking. I had to give up soda because I was drinking a 12-pack of Pepsi in a day and a half.
Damn.
I have.
Shout out to Pepsi.
Sorry, Pepsi. You got some losses. I'm struggling with alcohol right now because I'm trying to decide what to do. Do I just cut it out completely, or do I figure out a way to be smarter about it?
Yeah.
I will get tied up when I get a job. I will sit and I will obsess over a job for days until I go to do it, and I will pay no attention to anything else other than thinking about how I'm going to do this job so that I can do it well. Mm-hmm. Right? Everything I do, I get addicted to doing. I am in the same boat. That's why I'm struggling with.
That might be obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, man.
Maybe a little bit. But that's where I am. That's why this cup is still sitting here, because I don't know the right answer.
But you know what? It's okay for you not to drink what's in that cup.
Yeah.
And see, I've been places where, people try to peer pressure you into drinking. But see, for me, like, I've never been the type of person to even think about peer pressure, because I consider myself a born leader.
Yeah.
And so when people try to peer pressure me, I'm looking at you like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I'm not, my mind doesn't think like that. Like, oh, because you're trying to pressure me to do this or do that, I'm going to cave to it.
Yeah.
That's not what I do.
So, anyway, that's what I wanted to bring up. A long way around is, what do I do about the cup?
Man, fuck the cup.
Do I need to just cut all ties and just be done? No more. Like, that's sad. To me, that makes me sad. It's like saying no more alcohol.
This may be an alcoholic talking, but honestly, I don't think a drink here and there is necessarily bad.
So
like, there's health benefits to not drinking all the damn time, but
the key word is moderation and discipline. So if you personally don't feel like you can drink in moderation and be disciplined enough to know when to say when, then the answer is cut it off. Nip it in the butt. But if you can honestly say that, okay, I'm going to go to this party, and if there's alcohol, I'm going to have one drink, and then I'm going to cut it off. If you can honestly say that to yourself, then that is discipline and moderation.
So I can do that to a point. If I go to dinner with people, I will have a drink or two with dinner, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. If I go to a party and I'm like, we're going to be here for 6 hours, that means theoretically, if I wanted to drive home, I should only probably have 4 beers starting right now, right? That gives me a time to metabolize for my size and body weight, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I can do that. I used to couldn't do that. It was pop the top and slam, 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 slam. I've gotten to the point now where I am able to moderate when I'm not at home. When I'm at home, if there's beer in the fridge, or if there's
it's like leaving candy around a baby,
or if there's an open bottle of liquor, open I say, because I have 2 unopened bottles that I'm not opening until very special occasions, and I'm not touching those, and that's easy to do because they're special. But an open bottle of liquor is like, it just calls to you. Like, I'll just walk in the house, I'm like, oh, I can hear the whiskey calling downstairs. So I can do that when I'm not at home, or I can do it when I'm at home as long as there's no open alcohol.
Well, you know, it's tough, man, because alcohol, I would not even just alcohol, but any kind of addictive behavior can ruin a family.
Yeah.
Whether it's gambling, alcohol, drugs, women, whatever it is, it's just gonna ruin a family. And so at some point you have to make a choice and say, I'm gonna admit I have a problem and get the help that I need, or I'm gonna let this ruin my family. Because ultimately that's what it's gonna do. And you know, I want to thank the spouses that stick around and try to tough it out, because I guarantee it's not easy to deal with a spouse who has an addictive behavior. It's not. And so, you know, you got to kind of look at that from the other side and say, like, what can I do to make this easier on the person who is, you know, on the other side of this addictive behavior?
Yeah. So I thought I was doing the right thing, and in my anger, I said, you know, I'm not going to drink anymore. And she was like, no, make your own rules and follow your own rules. Like, you know, just do that. So she's on board either way. If I can come up with a plan and stick to the plan, right? She's not. We were talking about our vacation coming up, and she said there's one restaurant that has a good bourbon selection in it, and she was showing them all to me even after our argument. And so she's on board with me drinking smartly.
Yeah. Moderation.
Let's give another shout out to the wives, because they don't get a lot of recognition of what they have to deal with when it comes to veterans, when it comes to alcohol, when it comes to our crazy shit all the time. Like, the shit they go through, they deal with, like, they literally are backbones, and they hardly gonna get a lot of recognition for it. So
yeah, shout out to the wives.
Yes.
To the spouses. Well, in our case, wives, but to the spouses out there.
Yeah, shout out to the spouses.
They deal with this on a daily basis, and
I know
are still there no matter what. Like,
I know for a fact that we are not the only ones dealing with this type of scenario.
We are not.
So
that
we are not.
I mean, the Army could literally drive you to drink.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so funny story. Not funny story. Right before I got out, when I was having this issue, a sergeant major I knew, I don't want to say what he did because this is his personal business, but went to rehab for alcoholism. And it was during the struggles that I was having, and I had seen some of the similar things in him that I had seen in myself and didn't realize it. But it is everywhere. It is not just, you know, young soldiers having troubles in the barracks that are messing around, getting drunk all the time.
Right.
It's not just married people, whatever, young married couples or middle-aged married couples or what. It's everybody of every rank of anywhere is having alcohol problems.
So I saw a meme a couple years ago. By the time you're a staff sergeant, if you're not divorced, have a couple kids, have been in Article 15, have alcoholism, or have been in some DUI or something, you're not doing it correctly.
That is absolutely not true.
Yeah, I didn't get divorced.
It still made
luckily. I did plenty of bullshit that, my wife could have left me 100 times.
So I think I've made a decision. I'm going to come up with a good plan to drink occasionally and smartly, because I do enjoy it, and to the levels I used to be drinking, I wasn't enjoying it anymore because I always felt like crap.
I mean, really, there's no justification behind getting wasted,
Yeah. So that was one of the discussions we've had was I used to fairly frequently have to sleep on the bathroom floor because it was always cold tile, and I wouldn't necessarily get sick, but if I slept anywhere but the cold tile bathroom floor, I would get sick. But if I went into the bathroom and lay down and went to sleep, I was fine. Yeah. Which infuriated her because she would stay awake all night and come in and check on me to make sure I wasn't dying.
Yeah, you were getting wasted.
I was getting very much wasted.
This happened in Hawaii?
This happened all the time up until about 2 years ago.
So, man, I wanna just give you a shout out, man, because we're in uncharted territory in terms of just kind of opening up to one another, first of all.
Right.
But this shit is going out to listeners. So we're not only opening up to each other, but we're opening up to an audience.
That's why I was hesitant about doing this podcast.
But we can't be. We can't be.
We are about to experience some stuff that neither the three of us know about each other, and now we're also broadcasting it live. So
I'm already in a state of mind where I'm benefiting from this.
This is exactly why I want to do it, because I don't talk to people. I don't tell people anything. I don't have an outlet. I should. I get in trouble all the time because I should be talking to my wife about all these things. And I apologized to her last week. I'll apologize again this week. I'm sorry I don't talk to you. But
hey, this podcast can be a indirect way of talking to her.
It is. And it's also and the reason I still want to do it, and I want you to get on, to stay on board and stay focused with it, is because somebody else is going to hear this and go, man, that kind of sounds like something I've been going through.
So I'm going to be honest. That night when we were talking about life or death situations, I don't think we've released that episode yet. But
no, that's a fun one.
The next day, I told Angie, I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to do it. I literally wanted to call everybody. I was like, I'm out. I'm done. Because it was reliving every single moment that was negative, that was horrible, that I've built the past 5 years trying to get out of that mindset, get back to a normal life. I finally reached it. Now the podcast is dragging me all back through the same stuff. But reality, it's allowing me to release it and...
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Deal with it.
I'm not a doctor, but I know keeping things tucked away inside is generally frowned upon.
Believe it or not, this is a phase in healing. We are literally going to heal ourselves by doing this podcast.
It's kind of weird to me. I'm talking about the deepest, darkest stuff that nobody should know.
Yeah, and it's only going to get better, because
just wait. Just wait until somebody actually writes in and says, I didn't pick up my pistol yesterday because I listened to your podcast.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah. And I don't want it to happen, but I want somebody to reach out and say, I heard what you said and it made me start doing something differently. That's why I'm here. That's why I want to be here. And that's why I want you to be here. And that's why I want you to be here. Because we all have different perspectives. We've been through similar things. We've gone through some things, but we've all gone through different things.
Ever since we launched the first episode, all I've been thinking about was tonight.
Tonight.
You've been pretty pumped up this week about let's go.
You got that new toy. What's that thing called?
This is the Scarlet. It's a Focusrite. Got it from Sweetwater. Shout out to Sweetwater. I already put a post on my Instagram, and they liked it. So, but no, this is one of many tools that is going to help us get our message out, help us to broadcast and just connect with the people that we want to connect with, people that want to connect with us. I just want to give a shout out to everybody that has listened to the intro episode and given feedback. Like you guys and gals, ladies and gentlemen, have no idea what that means to me and Derek and Mike sitting up here on a Friday night, creating content that we hope will matter to someone who has dealt with similar issues of what we dealt with and we continue to deal with.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And not only that, this is episode 3 we're recording. So hopefully we get some new feedback from episode 2 as well. So that would be awesome.
Yeah. But, honestly, man, like, I never knew that this would come about, but I can truly say that, I'm glad that we are doing this together.
I am very excited for this.
I am definitely in it now. Like, I don't know at what point was my mind-changing event, but I don't know.
Something clicked and now you want to stay.
Something clicked and I felt an ease with it, and it was like, okay. Because I really didn't want to do it. I wanted to do it initially when the feelers kicked in. We were telling this stuff, and it just...
Oh, I could tell you were getting ready to back out when you were trying to turn this into daily events and current events and sports podcast. I was like, oh, boy, here we go.
Oh, boy.
All right, so are we done talking about...
He's digging in the ammo crate.
Are we done talking about alcohol for tonight?
So we got an ammo crate.
Going into the
7.62 millimeter.
So we got some...
he popped the crate.
Gas-operated air-cooled semi... No, that's M4. My bad.
So we got some topics hidden away in this thing that we're going to pick for... Oh, look at that. I picked alcohol. Yeah, we just talked about alcohol, so that doesn't go in there anymore. So we have some topics in the grog bowl, or the ammo can. So next week's topic is...
Let me read it, man.
Wait, how come all your notes are in there?
Because I put like 7 in because we
I
were all supposed
put nothing in.
Yeah, you were supposed to before the first one.
Dumbest thing done while deployed.
Oh, that'll be a fun. So that'll be a fun story time episode.
The dumbest thing done while deployed.
So this could be something literally dumb you did, or something you were made to do that was dumb.
Sergeant Major Jerry Taylor, you're gonna be in this next episode.
So I have thought about this one several times too. I have some stories to tell.
Is this a funny story or?
No, this should probably be funny.
It should be funny.
Or if it was dangerous and it was dumb, you can put that in too. The ones I have are dumb, but they're dumb because I did them instead of making soldiers.
I would really like if people called in and shared some of the dumbest things they did while they were deployed.
Yes, that would be amazing.
That would be nice.
And we could, if you want, we could read them on the air, or you can say don't read them on the air. You can say don't read.
So why don't we go Facebook Live? People can chime into this on the dumbest shit they've done while deployed.
Either that, or we're gonna have them call in.
We can do that.
And then they can be on. They can actually be on the podcast.
Eventually,
audio.
we'll get to the point where we can have a Facebook Live with comments or something like that. But that adds a whole new layer to our struggle. We'll get there.
This podcast is for entertainment purposes only and is not a substitute for professional or legal advice.